Hello and welcome to the show. Listen, we've got a great show planned for you. I tell you what, I will be speaking with a gentleman's gentleman. This month, is celebrating the power of education. This is our series. We're coming to the end. And I tell you what, I wouldn't have it end any other way. So you're going to just sit back, relax, and enjoy because we're coming right back. The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com. Welcome back to the show. I told you we've got a great show planned for you. I tell you what, when I think about all that we have been through and what's going on in the world, I always talk about what's on your mind. And one of the things that I just want to say to you is please be safe. Remember, right now there are today 100,000 people that are hospitalized. 90% of those are unvaccinated. Now, I told you my story about getting vaccinated, but I'm telling you, you've got to do it. And that's for our safety. And so I want you to really think about that. And if you're not, hey, wear a mask. I'm not shooting it down. Wear a mask, social distance, wash your hands, still do the same thing so that we don't have to shut America and the world down like we did before. And let's pray for our soldiers that were just shot and wounded in Afghanistan. They were killed. And so let's pray for our country, everybody, and pray for everyone around you. So that's all I want to say, what's on my mind, because I'm excited about getting to the power of education. And yes, we have the gentleman's gentleman. He's our guest today. He's a graduate of Tougaloo College, Howard University, and Jackson State. He's currently the Dean of Business at Claflin University and the owner of John Nicholas Consulting Group. He's married to the lovely and his devoted wife, Dr. Mary Margaret Hill. They have 4 sons, Nicholas, Harper, Clark, and Jean-Marc. And when I tell you this month is a birthday month for the whole family, so happy birthday, everybody. I want to bring him on out. I want to introduce you to Dr. Nicholas Hill. Come on out, Dr. Hill.
Hey, hey, hey.
How are you, Dr. Hill?
I am doing wonderful. I love the intro.
Yes. Yes, sir. Well, listen, you Bison. Bison, we got to do it. We got to do it like that. Doctor, you know. It's you. I guess everybody said, wow. But, I know we're going to have a great conversation because, Dr. Hill, you're so dedicated. You came to Claflin University, as we talked about a little while ago, in 2019. But I want to take it back. I want to talk to you about your life story. How did all of this start? What made Dr. Nicholas Hill become that doctor that he is today?
Yeah, so first off, Tammy, thank you for having me on your show. I think this is a wonderful experience. Anytime I get the chance to come and talk with people about something that I'm passionate about, and it's an exciting time. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you for hosting me today. My journey, like so many others, began with my parents. Both of my parents are educators. My mother taught in the public high school for over 37 years. My dad taught at Tougaloo College in mathematics for over 45 years, right? So education ran deep within our family and family tradition. My parents instilled in me and my brother the value of education and the fact that a lot of things can take away from you, but education is one that they can't because you know it. And so with that started me on the pathway and the seed in which I started to look at ways to constantly pursue that type of education. And after high school, it landed on the wonderful campus of Tougaloo College, where I started to love the ideas of gathering knowledge and just like the pursuit of knowledge.
Hmm.
I just remember, like most college kids, we used to hang out and talk. Right, you hang out outside the building. Maybe we were supposed to be in class, maybe we weren't. I don't know. I'm not going to incriminate myself right now, but one of the things that we used to always do is engage in different debates about. Well, what should we be doing as more critically erased? What are some of the problems that's going on in our community? And just just other things. But it's in that type of context that you start to say that, hey, I need to pursue something deeper so I can learn more about how I can help one another. So that's where it kind of started and started to begin, and I
Hmm.
started to cultivate. So it really began with my parents, and they instilled in me and my brother. And to this day, I'm proud. I'm proud of them.
Wow, I'm proud of you. I'm just proud to know you because you're from Mississippi.
That's right, Mississippi.
And
I know there's four S's, but we leave two of them out.
yeah. But to see you, African American male, who has excelled to the point of the dean of the School of Business and professor of economics at a major university, number one university, HBCU in South Carolina, and number nine best in the country out of 79 HBCUs. And so knowing that, I mean, that tells me a lot about you, a lot about how Claflin is moving forward and why they brought someone like you to the university. But I want to ask you a question. Did you ever think that you would be doing anything else? And if you did, what would that have been?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. And I'm gonna be kind of honest, so hopefully your audience doesn't jump on me about that. But coming up in high school and just toward that end of the year, I love basketball. I still to this day love basketball. So I had somehow written out a plan to get to the NBA, being only 6'1". Right, so I could make it. If Allen Iverson could make it, I definitely could make it too. But I noticed that I wasn't good enough for the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, one of the things that I did was I got into the business profession. I was a member of a group called Inroads. Inroads was a wonderful internship preparation experience. They allowed me to prepare me for the business world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm thankful for that. It let me show what the corporate sector was like. It let me show that I wasn't necessarily built for the corporate world in the sense of just the 8 to 5 without asking true questions about how to be a better person with that. And so those are really the two. Was I possibly be a store manager, store owner at Kroger?
Oh.
Uh, that's where I did my internship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also would probably be a film producer in the NBA right now, or something like that, where I'm taking pictures or something because I couldn't
Okay.
play. I want to be able to play, so I have to do something else, pick up the towels or something. And that led me to really start to think about after college that I needed to pursue something else. And so I went on to grad school at our alma mater at Howard University.
Nice.
And one of the things that was wonderful about there was this HBCU was one that instilled in you not only the value of education, but the value of connecting to one another to try to really help out the global nature and the global questions and problems. And there, I got a chance to do an internship with the Economic Research Service with the United States Department of Agriculture.
Wow.
And I tell this story to say is that this is an environment where there was not as many African American persons in the organization. There's not that many ag economists who are working at the United States Department of Agriculture. But one of the things is that they saw my will to learn and my work ethic, and they were able to hire me from that standpoint. But once
Wow.
again, it wasn't what I was passionate about, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that when we start to really look at where we're going, it
Mm-hmm.
starts with the passion that you have and really connecting the dots with that. I tell young people in the School of Business, but also just whenever I speak, is that the first thing you start off with is what you're passionate about and link it to the purpose, and then we can connect it to a profession. So if we can do all of that, you'll be okay. And luckily, I got a chance to connect with that, and now my pathway is it's getting here and it's going up.
Wow, wow. And I look at you when I say the professor of economics, and I think about the time I took econ. My hat's off to you. That's all I can say. My hat's off to you.
Oh, oh, it's just pictures. It's just pictures. Don't
I'm
worry.
telling you. I'm telling you. So let's talk about this. As we're talking about the power of education, talk about your experience because you graduated from Tougaloo College,
Hmm.
Howard University, and Jackson State, all three HBCUs. Talk
Yep.
about that HBCU experience because I try to, let young people know about that experience. That's something you just can't get anywhere. So talk about your experience.
Oh yes. So I'm gonna break it into like the three levels, and I want to link it to my educational pursuits as well,
Mm-hmm.
since I think the undergrad is definitely different than the graduate in that respect. As an undergraduate, I really was looking for just kind of like family experience that can help with setting me on a pathway.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got on campus at Tougaloo, not only did you have professors that was committed to your success, they would engage with you. Um, I can tell you a lot of times we were sitting out there talking, and a professor walk up and say, "What are you doing?
Yep.
What class do you have to go to?" And that strikes you because typically they don't interact like that on most of your TV shows, at least of what you kind of see.
That's right.
But they knew who you were,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were connected to your success. So anytime that you had an honor, an award, they would celebrate that with you. And I think that unlike any other university or any other college, HBCUs do that is that they only connect with you, but they celebrate with you with your success. And I will say is that also the preparation that they put forth, they'll tell you, no, you don't need to take that class. You need to take a better, this
Mm-hmm.
harder class to get you
Yeah.
ready for your career. And so the academic level of achievement and put you on a path was something like no other. Now I'm gonna get to the other part was uh, there was a wonderful experience of camaraderie and friendship. When you think about Greek life, when you
Mm.
think about just getting together, water balloon fights. I think we had one at Claflin. You think about just the fun times that you have as a family on the campus. You cannot beat it. After leaving undergrad, I went to kind of go pursue this master's degree, and I never forget the Department of Economics. There was a couple other schools that I did apply to. I got into a few of them. A couple of them I did not get into. But the reason why, in case I'm gonna say this, I chose Howard, but more importantly, Howard
How
chose
chose.
me. Was
Mm-hmm.
yes, right. The
Mm-hmm.
department chair gave me a call, and I never forget. My mother remembered this story. Was they called the house, and I wasn't there because I was working it for Kroger at the time. And she quickly got on the phone. She tracked me down over the intercom. It was Nicholas pickup on line one. Your mother is, and that's embarrassing. But it was a wonderful experience. I had to call Howard back, and they said that we looked over your application. We think you're a good fit for our program. Would you like to go? And it's just that little thing of we looked at you, we saw you for who you are and your potential, and we want to be a part of your success. I don't know any other universities across the country that will do that. And likewise, I think we got a friend in Dr. Assad,
That's right.
your Dr. Assad versus my Dr. Assad back at
Yeah.
Jackson State. He was one who was directing the PhD program. There was only two PhD programs at a HBCU in business
Oh.
in the whole country, and Jackson State happened to be one of them. And wonderful experience there. They were able, like I said, they chose me. I'll say,
Mm-hmm.
I chose them, but moreover, they saw something in me, and they start to in just like put things in me unlike no other. And they hooked me up with a lot of different professors, Dr. Granger as well, who was there, and they started to see something. Those connections with not only the professor but the institution lends itself to you have to be successful because of the fact that there are so many pathways to greatness at
Mm-hmm.
these institutions and universities. So those are my three different segues into my academic career.
Right. And I love the way you did that, because I think if young people hear how you had your undergraduate experience and then your graduate experience and then your doctorate experience, it kind of brings it all home, because after all, it's all about family. It's all
Hmm.
about making sure that we are prepared. And I tell you what, they prepared us. They prepared
Hmm.
us for such a time as this. I mean, for us to be talking like this. Now, we've seen each other, known each other since 2019.
That's
Who would have
right.
known that we know the Assads together, Dr. Linda, and Dr. Jean Claude? So it's that circle of life that I look at. One of the things that I did have a question from our producer, and she wanted to know about the process of getting your doctorate. What was that
Hmm.
like?
So 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 I'm gonna lie to your audience. Oh, it was easy. I think
You're
everybody
right.
needs to to go ahead and do it. I'm gonna go ahead and lie to the audience real quick. No, no. What I'll say is this: is that if you understand education and academics, is that at the undergraduate level, you're learning about information, you're learning the theories, you're learning that. At the master's level, you're learning how to apply it, and but at the PhD level, you need to learn how to create new theories. And so, with that, there is a large amount of preparation. There's a large amount of studying and commitment. I tell the story of that. Most PhD students don't have good relationships, right? Because the excuse of why you coming in at 2 in the morning, or you hadn't pick up the phone, is that you're at the library studying. No, you're not in the library studying. Well, actually, you are when you're in a PhD program, because
Hmm.
um, you have to have that level of commitment to the process. But I say is that the shining light is that you have such a narrow focus on it that you don't have to worry about a large scale amount of all these other type of courses, but you're focused on researching something that you're kind of passionate about.
Hmm.
Um, there are classes, there are comprehensives, meaning that there's an exam. But the most important thing is that dissertation. The dissertation is that book, that is that research that has never been done, but this is your voice. And for the next 5 years, this is the voice that you want to have within the space of whatever subject that you're trying to study. So that's the most important one.
Hmm.
But I want to let everybody know it's just the level of commitment is not anything that you do not know. I think
That's
that your cognitive ability is there.
that's right. So let's talk about this. As we're talking about your doctorate, what was your dissertation in? Because I'm pretty
Oh,
sure, knowing you, I know it was something.
yeah. So the wonderful thing about my dissertation experience was I was surrounded, as you know, at Jackson State, with professors who were engaged in the level of scholarship that was kind of cutting edge. I was researching the link between contraceptive use and crime rates. For those who are on, there may be familiarity with Stephen, I think it's Livitz, who had the book Freakonomics. And
Hmm.
in that book, they talked about the link between abortion and crime rates, and published papers, and there was controversy between those topics. But at the time, it was the hot article that everybody was talking about. And one of the things that I say, well, if you say Roe v. Wade was significant in the link between crime rates, then what about all other forms of contraception? So I looked at that. So I deemed myself and pinged myself as an urban economist that looked at health, contemporary issues in health economics. And so from there, I start to examine what role does health, the intersection between health and urban communities, kind of connect together.
Wow. And now I'm going to switch hips, because
Yeah.
you just kind of did something just now, to me, when you said that about you being an urban economics
Uh-huh.
economist, and
That's right.
health and urban community. When you look at health today, and we're just going to switch a little bit, folks. When you
Yeah.
look at what's happening today, what is it that you're seeing that's going on in our urban communities? And what is it that we can do to make that shift?
Okay, so what you do see is a lack of engagement within the health service area, and I think from when we talk about the Black community, African American community, there's a history of the medical field or profession not actually being located in our community. It's a long drive here, and I talked with others recently about the fact that I'm not sure if we have a primary physician. A lot of times we go to the clinic or we go
Mm-hmm.
to this to get actual treatment for serious medical issues. So because of that absence, then we look at what's happening now with the pandemic, and you see rates low with regards to vaccination amongst particular groups. But at the same time, you see that a large amount of the proportion of affected group that does not go to the hospital on a regular basis, they are getting quote unquote the symptoms in COVID a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So one of the things that I kind of encourage your viewers and everybody is set yourself up with a licensed health professional and talk about these issues. This can always extend to the mental health reign. I talk to my wife all the time. She always says that I'm the problem, but still, she's the mental health therapist as well. But I say that to say is that we need to take control of our health from a community standpoint, and that begins with engagement, and we need to do a better job of that too.
Wow, listen, Dr. Hill, I'm gonna have Dr. Hill and Dr. Hill come on because I think we could have this great conversation. And listen, I'm thinking in my mind how we gonna pull this together as we're coming up in the coming months. But I'm glad that you shared that with me, because the other thing that I wanted to ask you about is about teaching in the pandemic. What has your
Mm.
experience been teaching in this pandemic?
So I want to say this is that like um, most universities, but everybody's trying to figure this out, right? This pandemic was dropped on everyone, every institution, and everybody's trying to figure this out. One of the beautiful things about working at Claflin is that they operationalized it to the point where it was almost a seamless transition. And the reason why I say that is that they had us train with regards to how to do online delivery. They invested in the technology to ensure that students were able to log in. Those students who did not have the correct equipment, they provided it for
Mm-hmm.
them who was there. Those persons who didn't have the equipment nor Wi-Fi, they got hotspots for them. This is unbelievable that they said that we're going to commit to your success, your educational success like no other. So with that being said, we had every tool set up for student success. Now the question is, how do we start to engage? So with certain training and things like that, we have started all of these different types of methods and pedagogies that deal with how to get the student to kind of engage. I will say this: it is a challenge
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times this is new. This is not. I haven't picked up a piece of chalk. I don't even know if I can use chalk to write the equation. But at the same time, I need to do this more. I need to have more interactive sessions. I need to have project based, simulation based type
Mm-hmm.
assignments to really start to get the student to utilize their tools. Overall, we've had a good response with students' performance in the online environment. We will see that we had large amount of students who were committed, doing their work, turning assignments with regards to that. Those who did have struggles is more so dealing with the intersection between broadband and rural community
Mm-hmm.
access. So a lot of the stuff that we're talking about in the urban community is about accessibility. And the more that we can increase the accessibility to these options, the more we can excel. So that's why I really want to try to encourage to get students access. If they got more access, the better they can be and the more they will excel.
That's right. Amy just said, Amy Kelly is one of our viewers, and she just said virtual students appreciate real world projects and applications. Thank you, Amy, Dr. Amy Kelly. Thank you so much for that. And that's true.
That's true.
Amy is an educator as well, but in Chicago. And so as we are seeing this, and I'm glad that you brought that out, that during this pandemic and teaching in the pandemic, it may have been challenging, but of course, like you said, Claflin hit the ground running. It
Hmm.
was, and it really was one of those seamless things. Everybody, we got, Zoom. We started
Uh-huh.
Zoom, and of course we know the history about us being the Claflin being the Zoom school in
Hmm.
in the nation, especially in the East Coast. And so I'm glad that you brought that up. And so I want to find out from you about this teaching as you're being in this environment and you're seeing the students adjusting to this new learning environment. How did you see that transition happen? You kind of mentioned it a little bit, but adjusting for our students in this new learning environment, what are some of the things that you had to do?
Yeah, so one of the bigger things, and this is where the challenge becomes with the faculty, is the level of engagement. I think that if we're really talking about the different pedagogies that are out there, the one that's going to be the most successful in this involvement is the one that links it to engagement of the students who participate in the class. And the reason for that is that in this virtual environment, a lot of times they have the screen up and sometimes they have their profile picture. Sometimes they'll cut it off, and all of these other things. And that's the signal to mean that you're not engaged.
Mm-hmm.
As a faculty member, as a professor, you have to start to utilize strategies, different types of ways to engage the students. No longer can I come up here and lecture. Right. I can never just get up here on this screen, lecture, go from slide one to slide two, slide three, and let you read. There's no engagement. That model that we're talking about does not work anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
it definitely doesn't work in this online virtual learning environment. So we have to find a way to kind of engage with the student. The second point is, want to make sure that we value the student that is in this different learning environment. Reason why I say that, a lot of students have, when we were doing surveys, suggested is that they're in an environment where maybe one person has a laptop, right? And so you have your whole family there. They may not have the best living situation,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a little bit of, I don't want to be devalued as a person if I come to class, where you see me as an authentic self. I think that, as an institution, we understand that, we hear that. So what are some different ways that we can engage the student and value that person? Well,
Mm-hmm.
we train them on the best way to do backgrounds. We train them on ways to schedule your courses. So if your brother or your sister or your mother who's taking classes, what time do they have classes, so we can make sure we can space it out so you can kind of be engaged, and at the same time don't feel that you're devalued. I think that any type of program similar to what the one that we're doing at Claflin University, if we do that, engage, and we value the student, it's going to be a good learning environment.
That's right. Well, one of the things that looking at you, Claflin brought you here to South Carolina. I'm telling you now, you said about film producing, so I already know your class is like a television production. Because Dr. Hill, you have this sense of humor, and not only that, you're so engaging. And
Thank you.
I know that's a part of that dean. So what is it? What did it take for you to become a part of Claflin University? How
Oh,
did you find Claflin, or did Claflin find you?
so I will say this. It had to have been about um, maybe about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I would say, is that I was working as a professor at Jackson State, and doing some things there with the community, with the students, with just the state of Mississippi as a whole, and something over your spirit of leadership, and really, what does it mean to work with the students and really sit at the table to where you can make more decisions that link to better outcomes for the students. That set me on a path of considering, what does academic leadership look like?
Mm-hmm.
And after a long conversation with the wife about, hey, I want to try to do this with my career, And one of the things is that my wife has always been real supportive of anything that I've tried to do, and especially this. Um, and so her statement was to me is that if you're passionate about it, go for it, and I'll support it and I'll help out. And she did. So I started to look at ways to do leadership, and I was given the opportunity to direct the PhD program at Jackson State University, a wonderful experience in which you can kind of recruit
Hmm.
the next set of scholars that will replace me. I don't believe in being in one place just as sedentary. I wanted to find somebody to replace me so I can,
Hmm.
kind of push aside and keep the ball moving. Um, and that was a wonderful experience. I was then given the opportunity as interim department chair, where I got to lead a department at Jackson State, and what that entails with coordinating the core structure and the faculty that was there for the next generation of scholars.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping that they will replace me, right? I want to make sure. And then, one of the things was there was a lot of opportunities being given to me for the deanship, some of which were, great positions, lucrative positions. But it was when I stepped on Claflin's campus for the interview, and I got to first interact with not only the students, but just the environment. And we know that this was going to be a special place. Um, and when I never forget is that after the interview, I was in the airport. I got through security, got in the airport. The first person I called my wife, I said, "Hey, how do you feel about moving to South Carolina? Because I like it here." And so she was, like I said, she was supportive of that. But it is the environment here at Claflin. It's what their mission is. That links to my mission of educating the next generation of scholars to be the leaders, to be the thought leaders, to be the community leaders, the health leaders, just the global leaders of tomorrow. So I want to be a part of that. So I don't want to say that they recruited me. I'm gonna say that I selected to be a part of this team.
All right.
And if I gotta, what they say, clean shoes, pick up towels, cut
Yep.
the grass, do whatever. But luckily, they asked me to be the dean and the visionary leader for the School of Business, and so I'm excited to take that opportunity.
Well, I'm excited to see you at Claflin. And as you're talking about that, it just comes to mind about succession plans. Because what you're
Hmm.
talking about is succession, of making
Hmm.
sure that we have younger people that are coming up and being able to take our place. Just like I said to Tiana, one day she's going to be doing all of this and having her shows and producing and writing scripts and all those kinds of things. And so it's about teaching them and getting them ready for that leadership role that's coming up.
Okay.
Dr. Hill, you gonna be with me for another few minutes?
I will. I will.
All
I don't
right.
have nothing to do.
Hey, I know you got something to do. Now, come on.
Yeah,
You got your wife and your four sons. But I'm
that's
so
right.
glad that you're gonna be on. We're gonna take a break, and we'll be right back. The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com. All right, we're back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Tammy. I'm talking with Dr. Nicholas Hill, who is the Dean of the School of Business as well as the Professor of Economics at Claflin University. Welcome back, Dr. Hill.
Thank you. Thank you.
Listen, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I mean, you have are just a wealth of knowledge just inside of you. And I love talking with you to hear about all how you have come to this place in your life. And so I
Hmm.
want to talk to you now. I want to just kind of ask you about the best and the hardest parts of teaching.
Hmm. So, you know, let me start with the best because it's easy to start with the best is the fact that you are allowing for a student to get what we call that proverbial light bulb to be turned on, be an inspiration, to be a motivator to someone who is looking for that motivation or that inspiration. I think that there's a direct line between teaching, learning, and inspiration, right? And so that connection is going to be um, one of the one things that is one of the best things about teaching. I believe that the hardest thing about teaching is pretty much personal, right? Is that I used to be young, so I used to know all the hip phrases, and I could relate to all of the students. But every generation, it gets what goes up. So the hardest part is that as you start to progress, you need to start to engage more with the students to really understand how do they learn. Uh, Once again, I'm gonna date myself a little bit, but I remember having coins to put in a telephone to make a call. Right now, my kids have no clue what that is. They don't know what a house phone is. So we're talking about how do you start to educate in the environment in which is not really familiar. So that's really the hardest part is
Hmm.
how do I start to engage those individuals who I know and I see something there, but I can't necessarily relate. So that means I have to work a little harder at it. So that's the hard part.
That's the hard part. Well, listen,
That's
you
right.
you listen. You're doing a good job because I see you with the students and how you engage, and so I'm pretty sure you learning
That's
all the
right.
phrases,
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
latest phrases, right?
That's right. I'm a little.
Stay. No, go
That's
ahead.
right. I was saying is that I got to really get a dictionary. They need to rewrite the dictionary for me so I know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
So
I know the feeling. I know the feeling. So I want to go back to the part about the pandemic because with our education system right now, what do you think, or how do you feel that the pandemic has been for the education system? Has it made it harder? And what are some of those strategies that we need to be dealing with now from the education side with our students? I mean, that's all around. What are your feelings about that, and what can we do?
so one of the thing that the pandemic did was, it impacted every university across, right? Regardless of where you were, endowment level or whatever, it impacted you. Uh, it's harder though for certain institutions that do not have the necessary infrastructure in place to deal with the sudden change associated with something similar to this. So the pandemic kind of revealed how hard it is for large scale institutions to pivot. And we know from an entrepreneurial world is that those who can quickly pivot can
Hmm.
move on to the next opportunity, right? And so those institutions that were able to quickly pivot were able to not lose as much steam going forward through the pandemic. I think for a lot of HBCUs, just in general, because of the mission of the university and the type of student that they serve, that there are social economic factors at play that hinder accessibility to the education or academic environment. One of the things that you have to do from the standpoint of strategy is change not only one, your teaching method, you have to change the modes of delivery. And two, you have to really, I mean, three, really focus on how we can engage the first two for the better for the mission of the university.
Hmm.
I can say is that Claflin did a wonderful job with our pivot, with our engagement, with our teaching modalities, the different way. So we're able to kind of survive. And there's a lot of other universities that did that as well, with pivoting during this pandemic.
Yeah, and as a parent, I'm just wondering now, you're playing both roles, you're a teacher
Mhm.
and a parent. What would you say to parents right now about what they can do to help their students, their children, through this time
Mhm.
of uncertainty with the
That's right.
pandemic and all of this online learning? What are some of those things that you'd like to say?
So I always rely on the experience of those who have walked past before me. You can get advice from them.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to my parents and their upbringing. They were products and participants during the civil rights movement. When you think about the struggles during that time, they were going through it like, I don't know if I could go through it from
Mm-hmm.
from that standpoint. They were able to navigate a very pandemic like situation. So, what were some of the takeaways that they were able to do, and
Mm-hmm.
the support systems that they were there? So, from the parents, I would always say is that open communication with your children, because of the fact that you want to have that conversation, because they're going to ask for advice. I'm feeling a little bit of stressed out between
Mm-hmm.
this, and so they kind of know, because I bet you during that time of period they were feeling stressed out about the situation as well. So you want to have that open communication. Parents also don't feel that this is not your degree. This is hard earned as your degree as theirs. You want them to earn it, but you want to support them in earning it as well. I believe that somebody helped support you, whether it was somebody slipping you, 50 cent or $1 at church for a snack or
That's right.
or something like that to get through college. I want you to support the student during this time, because a lot of times they don't have opportunity to earn money and things like that. But it's other sources: monetary support, it's emotional support, um, and so I think those are some things that parents can do, and I've seen done to help kids out during this time.
Wow. Dr. Hill, I tell you what, we can talk all night. We can
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
all day. But I want to ask you this question because our producer asked, she got this question, and so I want to ask you this. It says, what do you see in the future for higher education?
So, so from the instance that we went into the pandemic, we quickly went into the virtual environment, which means that it's heavily centered around technology and the infusion of technology and academics. I think that the future of academics is going to be in that type of realm. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that I think that we're talking about is that no more can we just divide of education by subject matters. It is now is going to be an immersion of all subjects together. Now you talk about it's not only that you need to have the hard skill set associated with the job, you need to have the soft skill set that's associated with the job. So now we're seeing the merge of ideas into this one genre of an
Mm-hmm.
academic subject matter. So the big thing moving forward is that any type of academic setting is going to have technology at the center, and then also it's going to start to grow and pivot to where it's going to merge all different types of ideas kind of together.
Yeah, and as you're talking about that, because companies now are looking at that. I mean,
Mhm.
they are, as we used to say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You want the well-rounded individual,
That's right.
and
That's right.
you want that individual that's well-rounded. That individual is not just focused on this one tunnel vision, but you want somebody who's able to really manipulate and be able to go into
Hmm.
this setting and go into that setting and do this job and do that job. So
That's
I
correct.
like what you said, because that really helps a lot of students. And I think that Amy also, she says, encourage flexibility and grace while highlighting hard work and perseverance.
That's right.
That's
That's
it.
right.
That's it in a
Hey,
nutshell.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, that's it, Amy. In a nutshell, we sure thank you for that. Now, I kind of want to switch a little bit because we don't have a whole lot of time. I
Uh-huh.
mentioned in your bio that you're the owner of the John Nicholas Consulting Group. Can you tell us a
Uh-huh.
little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things that I want to make sure that everybody understands is that you are a talent, right? Everybody has a particular talent and skill within the profession. A lot of times, you're doing this for an organization or a company. Uh, One of the things that I saw an opportunity to do was provide individual and personal service to not only government, business, and individual entities with regards to economics, analysis, and things that I'm good at. So one of the things that I tried to do was set up, one of the companies when I was in Mississippi, and really start to engage with those who are surrounding me to provide them with the needed service that was there. Here in South Carolina, I'm doing the same thing. I haven't been as engaged because at Claflin, as you know, it's all hands on deck. It's
Yeah.
every day. It's all hands on deck. But I will say that the consultant is so that we can not only have opportunity to engage with what you're good at with the community, but you're also able to provide a critical service to those that actually need it. And it's a side business as well. And I think that every professional has a side business or needs a side business in this multiple stream economy type setting.
That's right. That's right. Especially
That's
where
right.
we. That's especially where we are in this pandemic. And
Hmm.
so I want to ask you the takeaways from this interview. First of all, my first question is, what advice would you give to students right now, thinking as they're thinking about going to college? There's some students who are going to be coming to you. What are some of the
Hmm.
advice that you would give to them? Because I know a lot of students are probably afraid or thinking that, oh, well, if I can't go back in person, what am I going to do? But then I got to be online all day. What am I going to do? So, what
Hmm.
are some of those things that you would say to them?
So I definitely think that if I'm going to speak freely, is that you need college education. When we look at the statistics associated with, especially African Americans, with a college degree, we're talking about roughly 23% of those 25 years and older have a bachelor's degree. That means that by going to college, you become a commodity. You become a valuable resource just by just going to college for the next 4 years. Now that makes you more marketable. That makes you have a larger option for different endeavors that you want to get into. The second thing is that when you think about picking universities, ask about the COVID protocols and plans that are in place within the university. That's a valid question. Are there options for me to be online? Are there options for virtual in a learning environment? I can say this at Claflin University, they do. They've taken a over the top type of approach with regards to ensuring that students are masked, make sure we have social distance, make sure that we're testing. So those different type of protocols, and we want to make it as safe as we can. But I think it was mentioned earlier in the show that one of the best ways to prevent is with the vaccination. So those we kind of encourage. We have those different drives on campus as well. For those who coming back, check out what the protocol, what the procedure, but more importantly, get that college degree from a particular HBCU, and I hope it's Claflin. That's what I hope it is. Major in business too.
And since you said about business, now I'm gonna play devil advocates here, because there may be some students who may be watching, or some young people, and they say, well, what about going into business? Why couldn't I just go into business, Dr. Hill, and do my thing and make my money, and and all? What advice do you have for them? Because believe it or not, some students, some young people are not college material. At
That's right.
least
That's right.
they think they are not, and
That's
they've
right.
been told they're not. What do you say to that group?
So the first thing is this: is that I believe that you have to understand what you're passionate about. And if you understand what you're passionate about, you want to pursue it to the end. And I don't think that you can pursue it in your own box or your own vacuum. You have to be with other scholars. You have to be with an environment where you can ask the question, hey, I want to start my business. How do I do a financial statement analysis? Well, where are you going to ask that? In your house? No. You come to a college campus, you can talk to a professor who's done this before. We have alumni that works at these big, huge corporations. They can provide help for that. So you want to be in the environment where you're passionate about, in the subject matter where you're passionate about. You can't do that just by trying to get money, as they call it.
So
That
cute.
that Yeah, that happens, but it doesn't really happen in a way that's profitable. You want to have a profitable business, not just one that's making money, right? Because we can make a lot of money, but if your expenses are wrong, IRS is going to come tax you, all of these other things that come about. You want to make sure that you have a profitable and successful business that has employees that you can hire. I believe that the best way to do that is within a college environment. And there's some other people who may argue with me on that, but for right now, you can ask those particular questions and get answers a little bit easier.
Wow, well, I love that. Because you just said it. Get your mentors. One thing I've always learned is that you have to surround your people with where you want to go. For
Hmm.
instance, if you go on in television, you, like you said, you were a professor in economics. You surrounded yourself with all those scholars to
That's
help
right.
you get to the point where you are now. Business scholars talking about a business plan. See, we got to have you come back on and talk about all this stuff. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, I would love to. I would love to. I would love to.
Okay, well, that's a plan. That's going to be a plan. Listen, Dr. Hill, I first of all, I want to thank you for being on the show, but I have two last questions. One
Mhm.
is the takeaway that you want people to receive from this interview. What do you want them to get from this interview?
So the takeaway is two things. It's simple. Is that I'm no different than anyone else that is listening in. I am a person from humble beginnings in Mississippi, who had parents who instilled in me the value of education. Had a wonderful wife that supports him with his professional ambitions, and kids who are here to help make me center me with the family. And the second takeaway is that anybody who's thinking about the state of education will be here. It is good. We need to first connect our passion with the purpose while we're pursuing that, and then we link it to a profession. If we do those things, I think we'll be okay.
Wow. Well, okay. So now this is the point. Everybody, you call Dr. Hill, you email
Mhm.
Dr. Hill, you go to his webpage. Tiana, let's go ahead and show his information. And so
Yeah,
you can come to Claflin University. They can reach you on LinkedIn and they can reach you on Twitter.
that's right. That's right.
All right. Listen, Dr. Hill, last thing that I always
Mhm.
ask my guests because I'm putting all this
Oh,
together. Three words that describe you.
oh, three words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Oh, let me think. This is the hardest question that I've had. Oh goodness. I would say is I am committed, passionate, and what else would be another one? Uh,
Funny.
uh, uh, yes, comedian. I guess that's a good one. That's a good one. Yep.
Listen, we all got to laugh, and I will tell you, it has been a pleasure because the first time when you came on and as we started before interviewing, you just have that jolly laugh. So I know in your household, Dr. Mary Margaret Hill, she
Uh-huh.
is just loving it, and there's laughter in your house. That's what we
All
need
the time.
all
All
the
the
time,
time.
all the
All
time.
the
So I
time.
have your three words: committed, passionate, and comedian. Dr.
That's
Hill,
right.
I thank you. I thank you, my brother.
Thank
Congratulations to
you.
you and continue. May God continue to bless you in all that you do. And if there's anything that I can do to help you and your family, please let me know.
Will do, will do. And thank you for having me on your show. This is a wonderful experience. And those who are out there who were my friends who I invited, please sign up and watch this show every week. This is wonderful.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hill. Thank you for that. I appreciate you, my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until you take care of yourself, and I'll see you. I see you
Will
around.
do.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
yeah. Thank you so much, and happy birthday to everybody, to the family.
Will do. Will do. Thank you again.
All right, take care, Dr. Hill. Bye bye. All right, listen. I tell you what, this has been a great interview. As you heard, I told you he's a gentleman's gentleman. Dr. Hill is just a special person. And I had some other folks that were going to come on as well, and we'll hear from them as well, his buddies and all at Claflin as well. But just what he said about passion, linking your passion with purpose, and then finding that niche, finding where you want to go and putting those together. Being able to be in college, getting that nurturing, having someone like Dr. Hill nurture you, someone like the president, Warmack, who's done a fabulous job at Claflin, nurturing you. So again, Dr. Hill, I want to thank you so much. I see you backstage. I want to thank you again. Okay, folks, we're going to get out of here. I want to thank Tiana, as always, my assistant producer, also my producer, Alicia. And I want you to please remember, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button to The Tammy Show on YouTube. Let us be a blessing to someone today and every day. Please remember that. And as I said, remember to mask, wear your mask, social distance, and wash your hands. Next week, we're going to be talking about the power of dreams. That's the whole month, the power of dreams. So anyone that has a dream and has made that dream come into a reality, we're going to be talking with them. And Michelle Alexander is the first one on our next show. So again, thank you for joining me. And until the next time, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.